Always great to have Ozzie Jurek back with me. There's so many things to talk about, Ozzie. You know, boy, have you noticed, or is it just me? Boy, the real estate market just seems to be just flying around with so many things on tap these days.
Yeah, there's no question about it. We are in a strong spring market. I guess we shook off the developers tax. Victoria has gone totally berserk. I was talking to Rick Hogendorn, one of the top realtors in there, and he says we got more realtors than we have listings. You know, it's sort of, it is amazing. And the condo market in the Fraser Valley is doing well. But, you know, Mike, it's not all areas. I mean, I look in Lardner, for instance, with a 54% increase in listings. But I think this month it'll shake out in terms of, is it just a spring market that's normal because we're still 30% below where we were last year at this time in terms of sales? Or is it something that's going to keep on going? I personally think we're going to level off after this month.
Let me just fire a couple things at you here. Now, you've got the new vacancy tax rules. Can you elaborate on that for us? Like, you know, it's a vacancy, what is it, 1% of the taxable assessed value of your home? And is it only for the Lower Mainland, or is it only for Vancouver proper? Where does it apply?
Well, it's Vancouver proper right now, but I think it's a dastardly tax. Just the retroactivity was dastardly in my mind on the foreign tax, because here every owner has to make a property status declaration on February 2 next year, and if you don't have any tenant by July 1 this year, and that stays for at least 6 months at the end of the year, you have to pay the tax. And it's
Isn't that a farce, though?
To say all these terrible people that have those big monies, they are affected, which is not really true.
Let me just a couple things. One, we're talking about my private property, first of all. People should have a long look at government intervening to that degree. Secondly, it assumes that I can find a quality renter. I can rent it, but do I want the people in there? It's my house, for goodness sakes, or my apartment, or whatever it is. And, you know, can you find that? It just seems so draconian. And I don't think it solves a thing. It's the government is saying you must rent this. I mean, there's just so many aspects of this that are absolutely distasteful, but maybe it goes absolutely hand in hand with a country that doesn't care about free speech or has a lot of people, you know, other freedoms, but it just seems ridiculous. So, again, I own a piece of property in Vancouver. I've got to rent it out, basically, or pay a 1% of taxable assessed value. Ozzie, what about people who go down to, the sunny climates, snowbirds for over 6 months? What do they do?
You hit the nail on the head. So if you know a retired Vancouver doctor lives in California half of the year, he doesn't want to rent out his fully furnished and antique-filled West End condo, even if he's not using it. Now, that'll cost him $12,000. Another person that we know, and actually friends of ours, he spends most of the time in the U.S. as well, mostly in Florida. He can't find anybody to rent his $4 million Powell Harbor townhouse. It'll now cost him $40,000 a year if it's not rented by July 1. So his choice is to maybe rent it for $1,500. I think it's a dastardly tax. It just goes to show when governments, under the umbrella of creating affordability and zapping foreigners, which none of this does, this really affects hard-working people, mostly Canadians who can afford to have a pied-à-terre. Imagine they charged us for our Whistler condo or our California condo or, the snowbirds going down there. It's ludicrous.
And yeah, that's a great example, by the way. The other thing, just very quickly, that I find distasteful is some of the arguments that say, oh, this is only going to hit the rich. Just think about that. Why are they a special group that's in trouble? If they've done something wrong here, it's an boy, talk about how the far left has infiltrated government when you have that sort of class division approach to policy or rationales for policy. I just find it really distasteful.
Yeah, me too. It's one of the worst taxes I've ever seen.
Well, the other side is this. If I was talking about the civic government, I'd say, can you please remove all of the obstacles that you've put in the way to prevent affordable housing? This is a group in Vancouver. If you're listening in Calgary and Edmonton, you may not appreciate this. This is a group in Vancouver that has done very well. Vision Vancouver has done very well with donations from the development community, and that development community wants to build higher price condos. I mean, it's on record. It's very clear of that. So, I mean, they're talk about shifting the blame. They're the problem, not somebody who goes down to California for 6 months and doesn't rent their home out, especially in a city that doesn't like Airbnb. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't make any sense on any measure. So,
okay, let me switch topics. As I can tell, Ozzie's got that. Mike's gone off on this. I better be quiet. No, don't worry about that. Okay, Ozzie, I'm going to switch this. Vancouver and Toronto booming. How about Calgary there?
Actually, Calgary has decoupled its residential market and commercial market. As you said last week, residentially actually was doing okay. Sales were up, but I mean, commercially, it is really, really tough. I mean, we are looking downtown Calgary has some 230 acres of empty office space, 10 million square feet of empty office space. So, you know, you like to have the wide open spaces outside the city, not inside the city. So that's tough.
Let me come also to another stat that I was seeing this week. I said I was going to go all around here. It looked like we had some very positive housing start numbers, at least coming thanks to the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corp putting them out in March.
Yeah, no question. In fact, the highest number of starts since September 2007. So certainly the builders have a lot of confidence.
Well, I mean, I could people are all worried about affordability. I mean, it's a supply issue. Unless you're prepared to restrict population growth in a lot of ways, which I don't put it by them at this point. They'll have a rationale. But if then you've got to look at the supply side. So at least that's a good news thing. Ozzie, what about a couple of hot properties?
Well, we have in 150 Mile House, there's a 12-acre lot with a nature pond, paved road with power, phone, natural gas, 89,000. At 100 Mile House, we have a 1-acre building lot in a subdivision for 55,000. And in downtown of the city of Wells, a very, very pretty city close to Barkerville, $20,000. And Quesnel, a semi-waterfront building lot for $18,900. So something for the outer towner in all of us.
Well, presto, you've just solved the affordability crisis right there. We're going to go to Jurok.com, check out those hot properties, and buy a 12-acre lot with a nature pond. My goodness, paved road. It's got everything. It's got power, natural gas. You got to put your building up, but only $89,000. Ozzie, thanks. Great stuff as always. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, and happy Easter to all the listeners. And remember, Mike, if you see a rabbit laying little brown eggs, don't eat them. It's not chocolate.